I'm Kyle Kraskett. I've got some questions today for Dodger General Manager Brandon Gomes. You ready to go?
I am. Let's do it.
Brandon, let's go back to October 30th. The Dodgers beat the Yankees, win the World Series. You could see it on the faces of the players. You could feel it in this fan base. There was a sense of validation, a full season championship. Take us inside the front office here. What did it mean to you? What did it mean to Andrew? What did it mean to Stan that you guys accomplished exactly what you set out to do?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, a culmination of so much work, and then having the 20 World Series, not getting to celebrate it with our fan base with the parade and really get to do that whole thing. So, having won it there, starting to dream about what the parade's going to look like, how much it means to the city and the best fans in all of baseball. So there was, a lot of excitement, a lot of hard work that ended up with that. We get to enjoy that with our families. And then to come out and start to prep for the parade was something we couldn't wait for, and it feels like the city was very deserving of getting that chance finally.
And then the very next day, October 31st until now, here we are the week before spring training begins. What was the mindset? You just won the World Championship and you guys got right to work. What did you guys talk about, and what was the mindset looking ahead?
Yeah, well, we tried to take a couple of days. We took Halloween and then the parade, and then the next day to really enjoy it. And then that Sunday we were on a plane to San Antonio for the GM meetings, and really, you're all consumed with the playoffs, over the month of October. So we took that time to really hone in on, basically general frameworks of what we have talked about leading up to that point, and then October is all playoffs. So then it was kind of putting and formulating the plan there, continuing to talk with ownership and here's the different paths that we could go down. And fortunately enough, it's been an amazing offseason in that an incredible amount of support from our ownership group, with the goal of giving back to the fans who pour into us. So, really making sure that's a relationship that exists where it's going back and forth and doing everything we can. We won in 24, enjoyed it, set that aside, and now focus on 25 because they're not related, right? There is no correlation to that. So it's very much 25 focus and do everything we can to put the best possible team out on the field.
All right, so you go out and you get Tanner Scott and you get Kirby Yates and you re-sign Teoscar Hernandez and you get Blake Snell and you get the prize of the offseason, Roki Sasaki. Yeah. And the rest of Major League Baseball is furious. So the question everyone's asking, are the Dodgers ruining baseball?
I mean, everything that we are tasked with is focused on putting the best team out there that we can. Like I said, I think this is all about giving back to our fans, and my assumption, based on some of the feedback we've gotten here, is that they're quite happy, and that's what we're charged with doing. So that's our goal of going out, putting out the best team possible. And look, I think how things play out, you got to go play the games. There is no guarantee with anything of what you do in the off season, but we're very happy with the talent we've put on the club so far. But a bunch of really good people, and the guys that are coming back, we know that complacency will not be a thing. They're even hungrier to go out and win again, and then adding some new blood into that to make that combination of talent but also a really good clubhouse culture to go out and win in 25 is the goal again.
Well, I did my homework, and I came up with all of the revenues and payrolls for every Major League Baseball team in 2024. And the Dodgers spend 45% of the revenue on player salaries. That's nowhere near the top of baseball, and it's nowhere near the bottom. The Mets, 78% of their revenue went to payroll. And the Oakland A's, 25% went to payroll. They could double their payroll and still be less of a percentage of their revenue toward player salaries. So wouldn't it be fair to say that maybe it's the Oakland A's or the Pittsburgh Pirates or the Miami Marlins that are ruining baseball by not trying hard enough?
Yeah, like I said, I don't really know. We're not, focused on what the other teams are doing. It's all about what can we do to put ourselves in the best position right now to win as many games as possible. And we've talked about it this whole offseason of, by doing a lot of the things we're doing now, the goal is to get to that trade deadline and not have to go out and do anything. Sure. And that's the goal, most years. and making sure we do what we can on this front end to acquire as much talent as we can and depth, so that we're not looking to go to market in July when things are just a bit crazier.
I mentioned Roki Sasaki. He comes on the tail end of Yoshinobu Yamamoto and, of course, Shohei Ohtani. It seems like the Dodgers have cornered the market on the Japanese superstars. How has that happened?
I mean, I think a lot of this has come from, well before I got here, when Stan and Mark first took over, and then Andrew coming here, trying to make this a destination spot of, players coming here not wanting to leave, and then free agents coming here, and a lot goes into that. There's a lot of credit that goes to scouting and player development to continue to make the best out of the draft picks we get, improve our players the most. Major league development guys get there and they feel like they're getting better and hitting, becoming their best possible selves. So a lot of it leads up to that. And consistency of winning, commitment from ownership, stability, clubhouse culture that Doc and the coaches create. So players talk, right? And obviously we're biased and we're going to go out and say, hey, these are the things we're doing, these are the things we're trying to do. But you really have to, that actually has to become a reality. And we feel like that has been the case to where we're going to win. Our ownership group is committed to making it possible to put the best team out there. So players want to come here. And, after having, Shohei sign here, then Yoshinobu, we're set up from an infrastructure standpoint to support Japanese players in a good way. And we're focused on constantly making that better. So, being able to land Roki as he's going through, and obviously can pick any team he wants. We're just set up in a lot of ways that we feel like are helpful for players in general, but especially Japanese players.
Let's talk about your relationship with Andrew Friedman and how it works. You are the general manager, he's the vice president of baseball operations, and I don't think a lot of fans out there really understand the dynamic of that. So can you explain where he ends and you begin?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it, we have a big front office group, and so much of it, this is not a 1 or 2 person job. It's a very much a divide and conquer type mentality. Here's what, I'm going to focus on, he's going to focus on, our AGMs, kind of split things up so that we are in constant communication, but things are flowing as efficiently and effectively as possible, because if it just is just one person all the time, it's just too big of an animal to do that. So, we try to split duties up and make sure that, things are running well, whether it's like splitting up major league time and being able to focus on, say other things, maybe scouting, or you kind of weave in and out. But the biggest thing is keeping everybody in the loop, so that, if somebody's telling me something, and it's like telling Andrews and vice versa, and that goes with all of our front office group. So we feel like it's a flat, type of structure, and making sure that we can be the best we can by doing that, because it is such a big animal.
Yeah, and while Andrew's able to go out there and curate relationships with Yoshi and with Shohei and with Roki, you're out there getting guys like Teoscar Hernandez, and you're out working deals to get Tommy Edman, who, by the way, at the trade deadline, I said that's going to be one of the most important pickups the Dodgers got this entire season, and it proved to be the case. So how much pride do you take in the fact that you're able to nail some of these other deals that end up really paying massive dividends?
Yeah, I think there's so much work that goes into these from a lot of different people. So the end game is basically watching that, that player go out and succeed, and then watching the team succeed and having it all come together, and knowing that, hey, we're getting this guy, he's super talented, but we also know good clubhouse, good work ethic, our coaches are going to love them and be able to, get the most out of them and how they fit in the whole thing. Because at the end of the day, this is about winning games and winning championships, and there's a lot of different people that go into making that happen.
You've made really a meteoric rise through the executive offices here at Dodger Stadium. Congratulations on that. It wasn't long ago you were pitching for the Tampa Bay Rays. Is there anything you've done now in your relatively young career as an executive, any one thing that you look at and say, that's something I'm most proud of, I was able to pull that off?
I think just being part of 2 championship clubs and being able to, be with my wife and kids on the parade this offseason was something like you know, you dream of, and you picture what it would be like, and those expectations were even, you know, it was even better than what you had dreamed up in your head. So, you know, this is something that's, you know, everybody works for. Fortunately enough to do it twice now and have that parade. Super cool. It's humbling, and just know that, you know, I work with a bunch of great people, and all of the people that we get to interact with and learn from every day are a big piece of these championships.
And because of your success, you are certainly a wanted man out there in baseball. In fact, I believe that years ago you turned out an opportunity to interview with the Boston Red Sox, and a kid from Fall River, Massachusetts. I would imagine that would be considered one of the greatest jobs you could ever have, but you wanted to stay here in this organization. Why, and what does your future have in store for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a special place, and, you know, so much of what we've been able to accomplish over the years and the people that you work with, you know, it is a huge amount of satisfaction that I derive from coming to work every day, and I think the people around us feel the same way, where, like, it's an honor to get to come to Dodger Stadium and know that, you know, there's ownership support. You have a great relationship with the people you work with. The coaches and players are everybody's pulling in the same direction. So, you know, it's very much it's a special place, and it's not anywhere that I plan on leaving.
Brandon, it's a pleasure. Thanks. Continued success.
Thank you very much.
Dodgers fans, we might be on the verge of something huge. The biggest trade of the spring could be brewing, and guess what? The Dodgers are in prime position to land a dominant ace. But there's a catch. The Padres could still hold on to Dylan Cease. So, what's the real deal here? Let's break it all down. Segment 1, Padres offseason moves and Cease status. San Diego's offseason was full of uncertainty, but they've made some moves. First, they grabbed KBO's top pitcher, Kyle Hart. Then, they added veteran right-hander Nick Pivetta from Boston. Solid moves, right? But here's the thing, Dylan Cease is still on their roster, and that's where things get interesting. Segment 2, will the Padres trade Dylan Cease? The trade rumors surrounding Cease have been swirling all offseason. And according to Kevin Assey of the San Diego Union Tribune, the Padres are likely to keep him for now. But, and this is a big but, there's a condition. If teams get desperate for pitching as spring training rolls on, the Padres could get an offer they just can't refuse. So what does this mean? It means the Dodgers are watching and waiting. If an opportunity arises, Andrew Friedman could swoop in and finally bring Cease to LA. But what would it take to make this deal happen? Segment 3, why Dylan Cease makes sense for the Dodgers. Imagine this rotation: Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Tyler Glasnow, Walker Buehler, and Dylan Cease. That's not just good, that's elite. And Cease is coming off one of his best seasons yet. 14 wins, a 3.47 ERA, 224 strikeouts, and a 4.2 WAR. He even finished 4th in Cy Young voting. That's the kind of pitcher who can win playoff games. Plus, let's be real, depth is key. Pitching injuries happen. If the Dodgers want to dominate in October, they need another ace. And Cease could be the missing piece. Segment 4, what would a trade look like? Alright, let's talk numbers. What would the Dodgers have to give up to get Cease? The Padres will demand a lot, but with LA's deep farm system, a deal is definitely possible. Names like Gavin Stone, Michael Busch, or even Andy Pages could be in play. But would that be worth it? That's the big question. Dodgers fans, what do you think? Should LA push all in for Dylan Cease? Or would you rather keep our prospects and roll with what we've got? Drop a comment below, let's talk about it. And hey, if you want more breaking Dodgers news like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. The season is heating up, and we've got all the latest updates right here.